From the very first moment I met Linda, my future mother-in-law, I could feel it in my gut that something was off. The kind of off that makes you feel like your presence is a problem before you've even said a word. I had nervously walked into Daniel's family home clutching a bottle of wine, smiling too hard, determined to make a good impression. Linda didn't even look up from her phone. "You're Samantha?" she asked, not unkindly, but without warmth. I nodded, said something awkward about being glad to finally meet her. She blinked once, then offered me a seat like she was handing out a chore. From that point on, I knew I wasn't the bride she had envisioned for her precious son. Linda was a perfectionist. Her house was immaculate, her garden award-winning, her social calendar loaded with charity luncheons and book clubs. And in her eyes, Daniel was her crowning achievement, the doctor's son who never failed a test, never dated beneath his league, and was destined for a woman who matched her ideals, pedigree, poise, and prim manners. I, on the other hand, was raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table. I didn't have a degree from an Ivy League school or a trust fund. I was opinionated, too honest for my own good, and worst of all in Linda's eyes, comfortable with who I was. I could always sense her judgment. The polite comments disguised as advice. The passive-aggressive digs. "You'll want to tone down your lipstick for the engagement party, dear. It can come off bold. Or maybe you should let Daniel handle the finances. Men are just more stable with money, don't you think?" Daniel loved me fiercely. He told me not to worry. That his mother would come around. That all that mattered was us. And when he proposed under the blooming magnolia arch in the city's botanical garden, with trembling hands and eyes full of tears, I believed him. I said yes so fast I think I surprised him. In those early weeks, I thought love was enough. Enough to soften Linda's judgment. Enough to bridge the divide. But Linda didn't want a bridge. She wanted a wall, and for me to stay behind it. Her obsession with Chloe, Daniel's sister, didn't help. Chloe was the golden child. The one who did everything right. She was on track to marry a well-known surgeon, had a Pinterest-worthy life, and the kind of bland elegance Linda worshipped. Her wedding was supposed to be a grand affair. And in Linda's eyes, no one was allowed to steal that spotlight, not even her own son. When we set our date, before Chloe's, Linda's smile became a little tighter. Her calls became more frequent, her questions more pointed. "Are you sure you want to get married so soon? Chloe's day is coming up. Wouldn't it be nice to give her space to shine?" I laughed it off at first. Thought maybe it was just nerves or jealousy. But looking back, that was the start. That's when the quiet sabotage began. Planning a wedding is supposed to be fun, stressful, sure, but filled with love and excitement. Ours started that way. My mom cried when I tried on my dress for the first time. My best friend helped hand-make invitations. Daniel and I argued lovingly over seating charts and cake flavors. We even chose a garden venue that reminded us of where he proposed. But there was one dark cloud hanging over everything: Linda. She declined every effort to include her. When I asked if she wanted to help pick flowers, she said, "Oh, I don't see the point. It's not a real wedding without a cathedral and a choir." When we invited her to the tasting, she canceled last minute, saying she had a spa day with Chloe. Still, I tried. I asked her to come dress shopping, even just to feel included. She declined with a thin smile. "I'll wait to cry at Chloe's fitting, thank you." Every attempt was met with passive disinterest or outright dismissal. And when she wasn't ignoring us, she was interfering behind our backs. I learned she had called the caterer behind my back to suggest a more elegant menu, implying I didn't know how to host a proper event. She tried to cancel our order for mason jar centerpieces, calling them barn trash. And she even told my florist that hydrangeas were tacky. The worst part? She tried to convince Daniel, my Daniel, to delay the wedding. It happened a week before the big day. I came home to find Daniel pacing our apartment. His jaw was tight, his shoulders hunched. "She thinks we're rushing it," he said. "She thinks you're afraid Chloe will get married first and make you look bad." I stared at him in disbelief. "Are you serious? She said that?" He nodded. "And I told her she was being ridiculous. That I love you, and nothing, not her or Chloe or some Pinterest fantasy, was going to change our date." For a second, I felt relief. Gratitude. I hugged him hard, and we stood there in silence, letting his mother's disapproval settle like dust. But I should have known Linda wouldn't give up that easily. The next day, she sent me an email titled, "A Mother's Concern." In it, she wrote, "I hope you understand that I only want what's best for Daniel. A wedding is a sacred, once-in-a-lifetime event, and it breaks my heart to see it rushed like a midweek errand. Chloe has always dreamed of her perfect day. I only ask that you consider the optics of stealing that from her. Please think about the family you're marrying into. Appearances matter." She ended it with a smiley face. I didn't respond. What could I say to someone who viewed my marriage as a threat to her daughter's photo album? But Linda wasn't done. As the wedding approached, she grew more erratic. Her texts to Daniel became guilt-ridden. Her conversations with Chloe more intense. I overheard them once in the garden at a family barbecue, Linda whispering, "Don't worry, sweetheart. We'll make sure your day isn't overshadowed. One way or another." It sounded like a promise. Or a threat. The day began like a dream. The sun filtered through the lace curtains of my dressing room, casting warm golden patterns on the floor. My bridesmaids buzzed around me, adjusting my veil, fluffing my dress, calming my nerves. Laughter filled the air, and for once, everything felt right. The venue was breathtaking, a garden draped in white linen and pastel flowers, like something out of a storybook. The air smelled of roses and promise. As I stood at the end of the aisle, arm in arm with my mother, I spotted Daniel waiting under the floral arch. His smile was shaky, tender. His eyes glistened. My heartbeat quickened with joy, nerves, and love. I walked slowly, soaking in every second. Cameras flashed. Guests smiled. The music swelled. And then, something changed. At first, it was a scent, faint, smoky, out of place. My nose wrinkled. I thought maybe it was a nearby candle. Then came the murmurs. Heads turned. Whispers turned to gasps. A crackling sound. And then, chaos. Flames burst out from the side of the archway. The delicate drapes I had hand-picked were now devoured by fire. Smoke rose rapidly, black and thick, curling into the blue sky. Guests screamed. Chairs toppled as people scattered. Fire. Someone call 911, someone shouted. The officiant dropped his book and ran. My mother pulled me backward. Daniel leapt from the altar and sprinted toward me, grabbing my arm and dragging me to safety. My heels twisted in the grass, my dress snagged on a branch. Panic blurred my vision. In the corner of the garden, behind the plumes of smoke, I saw her. She wasn't running. She wasn't helping. She stood still, eyes wide but not with fear, more like satisfaction. In her hand, glinting faintly in the firelight, was a silver lighter. Our eyes met. She flinched. Then she slipped the lighter into her purse and turned away. The fire was eventually controlled, but the damage was done. The flowers were gone, the drapes scorched to ash. My dream wedding, my moment, my beginning, ruined. But something deeper burned that day. The illusion that Linda simply didn't like me was gone. This wasn't passive aggression. This was malice. And I wanted answers. The morning after the fire, the garden was closed off with yellow tape. Investigators were already on site, documenting everything. I couldn't sleep. I barely ate. Daniel sat next to me at the kitchen table, his hand over mine, both of us reeling from what had happened. Then Rachel called. You need to see something, she said. She sent us a photo taken by one of the guests, a wide shot of the archway minutes before the fire. Linda was standing directly beside it. In her hand was a small object. Unmistakably a lighter. The timestamp was 10 minutes before the flames erupted. I stared at the image, bile rising in my throat. It wasn't just suspicion anymore. It was proof. Later that day, investigators confirmed what we feared: an accelerant had been used. The fabric tested positive for heavy perfume with a high alcohol content. Witnesses recalled Linda spraying the drapes earlier, saying they smelled dusty. Daniel confronted her. I begged him not to go alone. We arrived at her house, and she opened the door like nothing had happened. She even tried to hug Daniel. He stepped back. You set our wedding on fire, he said, his voice quiet but shaking. Linda's face twitched. Don't be dramatic. We saw the pictures. We have the report. Her expression darkened. I didn't mean for it to go that far. I just wanted to shake things up. You weren't listening. Chloe, this wasn't about Chloe. I snapped. This was our wedding. And you endangered everyone. There were children there. Her jaw clenched. Everything about this has been wrong from the start. You rushed it. You excluded family. You made Daniel choose. He chose love, I said. You chose sabotage. For a moment, she looked like she might cry. But instead, she turned cold. I didn't light anything. You have no proof. Daniel said nothing more. He simply walked away. That evening, Rachel came over. She looked sick. I went to see her, she said. I asked her why. She handed us her phone. On it was a voice recording. Linda's voice, sharp and bitter. She manipulated Daniel. She pushed this wedding just to spite Chloe. I only meant to delay things, not destroy them. But maybe it's better this way. The silence that followed was heavier than the smoke had been. Daniel didn't say a word for hours. When he finally spoke, his voice cracked. She's not my mother anymore. That night, we filed charges. And for the first time since the flames, I felt like we had lit one of our own. Justice. Filing the report wasn't the hard part, living through the consequences was. We pressed charges for arson and reckless endangerment. The investigators, backed by forensic evidence in Rachel's recording, confirmed there was enough to proceed. Linda was taken in for questioning. She denied everything at first, cool and unshaken, until they played the recording. Her mask cracked, just slightly. But even with the evidence, the legal process moved like molasses. Her lawyer tried to spin the narrative that she was emotionally unstable, that she had no intention of causing real harm, that it was all a misunderstanding fueled by grief, jealousy, and maternal fear. The defense painted her as a heartbroken mother reacting poorly to her son drifting away. But the prosecutor saw right through her. They emphasized the premeditation, the perfume-soaked fabric, the lighter, the timing, the motive. They brought in character witnesses. Rachel, bless her brave heart, testified against her own mother. Guests described Linda's erratic behavior leading up to the ceremony, how she'd been fuming, muttering under her breath, glaring at me from across the room. One even recalled her saying, "Let's see how long this fairy tale lasts." The courtroom was packed the day Daniel and I took the stand. I wore a black blazer, my hair tied back. Calm. Clear. Steady. I saw her, I said. She wasn't panicked. She wasn't surprised. She was watching it burn. Linda's lawyer objected. The judge allowed it. Daniel's testimony was even more brutal. She tried to ruin our wedding because she didn't get to control it. She wanted me to marry someone who cheated on me and humiliated me. She burned down my future and called it love. The silence in the courtroom was thick. Linda sat with her hands folded, lips pursed, eyes red, but no tears. I couldn't tell if she felt regret, or just regret at being caught. The trial dragged on for weeks. Meanwhile, our honeymoon was postponed. Our wedding memories were tainted. Every morning started with a call from our lawyer, every evening ended with Daniel and me trying to hold each other together. She pled guilty to reduced charges in a plea deal. The arson charge stuck, though. She would serve time, only a year, plus probation and restitution. The prosecutor warned us the sentence felt light for what she'd done, but the judge wanted to consider age and psychological strain. It wasn't perfect justice. But it was a start. And when the cuffs clicked around her wrists as she was escorted out of the courtroom, she looked back. At Daniel. Not at me. He didn't look back. It didn't take long for Linda's world to unravel. Actions have consequences, and hers echoed far beyond the courtroom. First, the community turned on her. What once was her carefully constructed image, the devoted mother, the socialite, the respectable woman in pearls, crumbled. The news picked it up. Mother of groom accused of arson at son's wedding. Her name was dragged across headlines. Her charity board removed her. Her church rescinded her seat. Her friends, many of whom had been at the wedding, ghosted her. No one wanted to associate with a woman who'd set a wedding on fire. Then came Chloe. The irony of it all. Chloe, the woman Linda had gone to such lengths to defend, disappeared. Rumor had it she moved cities, started a new life, found another man. She wanted no part in the fallout. No courtroom visits. No phone calls. Nothing. Linda had destroyed everything for a daughter-in-law who never wanted to be part of the family in the first place. Rachel, devastated by everything, moved in with us for a while. She needed space to heal from the betrayal, the media attention, the public judgment. I saw her cry late at night, scrolling through old family photos. She was all I had, she whispered once. And now. I don't know who she is. Daniel grew stronger through it all. At first, he struggled with grief, guilt, anger all tangled inside him. But he slowly realized something vital: family isn't who you're born to. It's who stands beside you when the smoke clears. He stood beside me. He held Rachel close. And we built something out of the ashes. Linda served her time. When she got out, she tried to contact Daniel once, sent him a letter. He read it once and threw it away. No return address. No apology. Just pages of justification wrapped in self-pity. We never replied. Now, years later, our wedding photo still hangs on the wall, taken in a courthouse 2 months after the fire. No grand archway, no floral aisle. Just us, smiling, whole, stronger, alive, and Linda? She faded into silence. Her own undoing wasn't in the flames she lit, it was in the people she lost trying to control the fire.